Everything in our world just keeps getting more expensive. Groceries, gas, even Netflix. So what does that mean for someone who wants to retire? And so we're asking that question today of Gary Mattson and Laurel Stewart, the team from Mattson Financial Services, the sponsor of this segment. They're a financial firm that's been helping people retire successfully here in West Michigan for decades. Gary, Laurel, a lot of people are speculating that the cost of retiring is getting too much or, out of control. What do you think about that?
Well, it's really, if the plan's in place and is done correctly, the answer is no. I mean, let's face it, it's about the numbers. And we help so many people every day sit down, look at their numbers, because it's really about the dreams, the goals, and desires of that two people, of what they're going to do in retirement. So if you look at it and say, gee, I wanted to go cruising every weekend, can I afford to do that? Well, it doesn't matter what inflation is. If it's not right for your plan, it really is not going to work anyways. But with inflation tuning into things, if the plan's set up properly, you should not have problems.
Sure. And so how do you go around in getting to that conclusion with the people that you're working with, addressing the concerns to your clients?
I think the important piece that we start with during that get-to-know-you meeting is, what does your lifestyle look like? Right? What are you doing today if you're getting ready to retire? Is anything going to change? Or if you're already retired and we're doing a checkup on your plan, is there anything that you felt like you haven't been able to do yet? Because we want to make sure that we're putting everything into this that you want to achieve because you've worked so hard for it, right? So why retire and then say you have to cut back on things? So we're going to look at that, and then that's where we look to say, okay, should we take Social Security at 62? Maybe wait till your full retirement age, or we defer to age 70. So we go through all these different scenarios and looking at taxes to make sure we give you the knowledge, and then we can talk about when you want to go. And I will say we've had a lot more clients going earlier than they thought, so there's no better time to get that checkup.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really interesting that people are in retirement, they're coming to us and looking at and saying, here's my investments. I'm really concerned, number one, if I got too much risk or not enough risk. And then the other part of that is this sustainable? What are the numbers looking at from an inflation point of view? And then we're going to confirm or deny and then adjust their portfolios accordingly. If we can set it up, and it's the best for you is that you have income without having any pressure on that income, so that's sustainable, and then we can go out and attract the opportunity. What I mean by that is when the market's down, we can move money in and buy, and when the market's up, we can harvest. If you're doing that on a regular basis, you're going to have a great retirement.
Yeah, and so you've mentioned something a couple times, taxes. What kind of tax strategies do you put in place for people?
So we want to look at all the different buckets, and what we mean by that are what types of funds. So you have your qualified funds, like your 401ks, IRAs, things like that. You've got your non-qualified, and then you've got your tax-deferred. And so, your tax-free bucket with your Roth IRA. And so we want to look at how is that currently set up, and then what can we do along the way to build those other buckets up. Because, for example, Roth IRA might not be the best for everybody, but there's an opportunity there. For an example, if you wanted to have a large purchase or do something, but you can't have that much income in your plan or else you'd go into a new tax level, well, now we have a different bucket to go to. And we look at this every year because it's not a set it and forget it, hey, we completed it, we're done now, unfortunately. Yeah. So we keep looking at that during your reviews.
Yeah, yeah. And we may work with like a CPA or a tax professional, and sometimes that doesn't always solve some of those tax problems that we feel might be standing in our way.
Yeah, because there's actually we call investing paradigm. So that's the different buckets like Laurel was talking about, tax deferred, tax free, and taxable. But also how we put those into positions for like a Roth IRA, opportunity fund, your savings, your yo-yo account, the money comes in and goes out. You really need to have a structure there in place so that the markets do not define what you're going to do. You get to define what your retirement's going to be, because you can again, adjust where you're going with your assets and have that availability to do what you need to do. We all know how to invest. Buy low and sell high. How many people actually do that? We spend more time with our clients actually taking care of our clients than trying to attract new clients.
Yeah. And so inflation is something that we haven't talked about in this conversation, but we know it is ever present in this world, and it's a really huge concern for a lot of people. How is that playing into things?
Well, inflation right now, they're saying, is north of 6%. And so you look at that and you think, okay, well, my investments have to keep up with 6%. Plus fees, plus what do I need to take out? If that's 4 to 6%. So now you can start adding all of this up, and you can see how some individuals might say, I need to, take on more exposure than I'm comfortable with in the stock market. Well, that's not the answer. So we need to look at what tools are out there to provide you the income you need to make sure that's taken care of, but still have flexibility built in for the next 30 or so years.
Yeah, so there's a lot to think about. And we talk about all those buckets really being and putting the plan in place, because I know your clients who want to retire continue to do that because the planning's been there all along.
Yep, and that's the piece that it's an education piece. And people say they don't like the math. We actually love the math.
Yeah, that's great. Bring it to us.
Yeah. And so we lay that out, and we not show them just what's going on today, but what we're going to see 10 years from now, 20 years from now, even 30 years from now, because some people are going to be in retirement 30, 40, maybe even 50 years. My mom's looking to make that. At 98 years old this month, she's looking very forward to hitting that goal of being 100. And what we looked at when she was 62 is very different than in 98.
Yeah, exactly. And so you have a offer for viewers, or the next steps that maybe people should take if they're looking at planning for that retirement, or if they're in retirement.
Yes, so if you are looking to retire or already retired, like you mentioned, and you've saved $250,000 or more for retirement, whether that's in your bank accounts, your 401ks, your employer plans, things like that, this is an opportunity to give us a call. We'll schedule a time to sit down with an advisor, get that meeting to get to know you. We want that to look like complimentary.
Yeah, so if you're at home planning a retirement, take advantage of that special offer from Mattson Financial. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, Gary, Laurel, and the rest of the team will sit down with you personally to customize a retirement plan that is just for you. This is a comprehensive plan that not only looks at your taxes, but your investments and your income sources, and so much more to help you get to and through that retirement that you deserve. Call now, 616-514-3831. That's 616-514-3831. And of course, Gary, Laurel, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate it.
Good to be here.
It's been our pleasure.
Yeah. And this segment is sponsored by Mattson Financial Services. We'll be right back with more 8 Less.